Hello, my dearests. Welcome back to Hero versus the Bucket List. If you're new to this series, this is where we check in with me and talk about all the games I've been playing. Specifically, I've been trying to play games that I've been wanting to play for a long time. If you have a bucket list, you kind of get the gist already. Paper Mario 64. I was like, okay, so Thousand Year Door is the second game in the Paper Mario series. A good way to hype myself up for the remake of that second game is to play the first game in the Paper Mario series. I can start playing them in chronological order. I can properly get hyped. I think the level grind / lack thereof, the level progression in the game is awesome. One of the most balanced RPGs I've ever played. Never was there a moment where I felt I needed to spend time grinding to beat the boss. All the mechanics are well paced out. You have a proper amount of enemies along the trail. If you fight most of the enemies on your way to a boss, you'll be fine. The Mushroom Kingdom and all the people in it, I really like. It does the RPG thing where you can talk to NPCs and they say random stuff that give you lore and fill out the world, tell you about various characters. But it is in the world of Mario, so you already know Toads and Koopas and Bob-ombs, and so basically you get to see this game's interpretation of what a living Mushroom Kingdom would be like. So in the very first scene of the game, you run into Peach's castle, and it's just filled with different Koopas, Bob-ombs, and they talk about how some of them moved to the Mushroom Kingdom and it's so much better. I can tell there's a lot more for Princess Peach to do while she's in her kidnapped state, because while she's on the castle, you have different little stealth missions and you sneak into Bowser's room and read his diary, which is funny, and you do different things to help there's a magic star friend who is basically the little battle pigeon sending war messages between Mario and Peach. That's basically his function. She's like, go tell Mario that this shit's about to go down. Last time we left off, we talked about Paper Mario, the original one for the Nintendo 64. And I played a little more of it. I didn't finish the game, and we're going to talk about why that is. But first, I want to run through, there's not too many of them here, but the characters that you meet along the way, and just kind of my quick thoughts about them. We're not going to belabor it too much. So first, I wanted to highlight that Princess Peach's kind of messenger pigeon, which is technically just like this little star, they tried to go with a star pun. So they landed on Twink. That's like a first draft's name. I get it, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. But they named Princess Peach's little subordinate Twink. So that's fun. Then there's the Goomba, who's a big Mario fan to the point where he dresses up as Mario. His name is Goombario. Pretty clever. What I like about Goombario is since he's the fanboy, they actually use that mechanic in the game where in battle, every enemy has a hidden health meter, and then you use Goombario's move Tattle, and then he tells you alright, this is how much health they have. Also, watch out for this attack. Also, here's their secret weaknesses. So he's pretty cool. I like Goombario for that reason. They kind of work in he's a nerd, and so his gameplay is telling you what you need to know. He's your walking, talking encyclopedia. Next character. Oh, by the way, some of these games that are especially going to be farther back in the backlog, the memories will get a little fuzzier. So I have notes that I took to help keep me on track and say everything that I wanted to say. Next character you get in Paper Mario is Koops. He's a pretty good early game. He has your first group attack where you can attack a bunch of enemies at once. So he's pretty good at that. You can kick his shell around in the overworld to get secret items. So he's pretty useful, but then gets outclassed by other powers pretty quickly. But he's good for when you get him. Similar to like in Pokemon, you'll get early game Pokemon who are good at first, but then get outpaced later. And that happens pretty immediately with the next character, Bombette. Bombette, she has this really good explosion move called Power Bomb that just like does 6 damage. If you do the attack successfully, it does like really high damage for a bunch of enemies on the field. So Bombette's cool. You find her just trapped in a dungeon in a cage during one of the chapters of the game, and I kind of forget like why she was in the cage. So that she was a little forgettable. Koops was a little more memorable because he had a whole thing about like wanting to meet his hero, this other archaeologist, which is supposed to be an Indiana Jones parody because he's called Colorado. Then finally, actually there's 2 more. You get Parakarry, who is a pretty neat, they're a Paracoopa, and they're a messenger. And when you run into them, they're like, I dropped all my letters because I'm a klutz. Can you help me find all my letters again? So they join your party and they stick with you, and throughout the game, you have a new collectible of finding these letters, which give you good lore as well, so that's fun. And then you got Lady Bow, who is this boo, who is basically Toph from Avatar: The Last Airbender, but played a little more rich, played a little more like into her wealth status than Toph was, but still with the same sass, and she's really fun. Like a lot of these characters, I'm going through them, and I'm like, I don't really remember much about them personality-wise, but Lady Bow is cool, and in her mission, there was a lot of stealth stuff, and she allows you to turn invisible for a little bit of time. That also translates to battle. So the chapter where you get her is pretty cool. I liked it. Last character that I encountered, and this one actually broke the game for me, was this little Sparky boy named Watt. The level where you meet them, basically what their power does is they light up dark rooms. Like it's a pitch black room, and with Watt you can hit a button and it lights it up and you can see in the dark.
It's a glorified flashlight.
Yeah, literally. I was maybe not playing the game on original hardware, aka I definitely was using an emulator. And my emulation didn't work correctly on the like flashlight bit. So even when I unlocked Watt, I couldn't see like what was happening. I did manage to at least finish the level I got them in because I looked up a guide and like traced the steps of what the room would look like if I was able to light it up. And so I managed to still finish the level that way. But after that, there was immediately in the next level another new in the dark dungeon area. I'm like, okay. I'm gonna stop with this game for here because the emulation is kind of soft locking me out of the game. And yeah, that was Paper Mario. It's a pretty fun time, well balanced game. I've recently been playing the Thousand Year Door remake, which is the sequel to the original Paper Mario. And not to spoil too much about it, but I do think that that game makes a much better use of its characters and storytelling. So this game was fine, Paper Mario 64, but I think the series got better with the second game. Alright. Next game that I played on my bucket list is Tony Hawk American Wasteland.
California.